Aramco's General Manager of Training and Development, Ms. Huda Al-Othman, the Secretary General of the Al-Walid bin Talal Foundation, Engineer Nadia Bakherji,
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 2012 Young Professional Technical Symposium. As you heard on the audio, my name is Ahmed Al-Aidan, and I'm extremely privileged at the request to moderate this panel discussion. Today, our distinguished panelists will present their views on the theme of the symposium, Young Talents, the Impetus of Transformation. Each panelist will talk to us for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then we will open the floor for discussion. So now, please allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists and give you a brief bio. Sitting immediately to my left is Mr. Abdullatif Al-Othman from Saudi Aramco. And he was named Senior Vice President, Engineering and Project Management of Saudi Aramco in 2011. The same year, he was also appointed to serve simultaneously as board chairman of the Sadara Chemical Company, a joint venture between Saudi Aramco and the Dow Chemical Company. From 2003 to 2011, he served as a senior vice president of finance, where he was instrumental in streamlining key processes and significantly enhancing advisory and performance management capabilities. During the previous decade, Mr. Al-Othman served as a Vice President, Saudi Aramco Affairs, and as a manager of different departments, including crude oil sales and marketing, contract review and cost compliance and finance, business analysis, and long-range planning. Seated next to Mr. Al-Othman is our second speaker, Ms. Huda Al-Othman. She is the General Manager of the Training and Development Organization at Saudi Aramco. And as the head of Human Resources Development, she is responsible for the design and delivery of corporate education, training, and development programs for all segments of workforce, covering industrial, administrative, professional, and leadership positions. Huda joined the company in 1981 and held various positions in human resources and support organizations, including healthcare services, facilities planning, finance, community services, industrial relations planning staff, and human resources policy and planning department. And our third panelist is a professional from a different sector. She is Engineer Nadia Bakherji. Nadia is the Secretary General of Walid bin Talal Foundation, and at this capacity, she spearheads initiatives to implement the philanthropic vision of His Royal Highness Prince Walid bin Talal and the Vice Chairwoman, Her Highness Prince Amir Al-Tawil. In 2007, she established NBA, Nadia Bakherji Architectural and Interior Design Consultants in Riyadh, one of the first female-owned architectural firms in Saudi Arabia. Nadia has a passion and an active contribution to advance civil society. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that we encourage your participation. So after the talks that we receive from our distinguished panelists, write your questions on the cards on the table, and my colleagues from the organizing committee will collect them and pass them on to me. Without further ado, I'll turn the mic to our Senior Vice President, Mr. Abdullatif Al-Othman.
Thank you, Ahmed, and thanks to Dr. Abdul Wahab and all your colleagues for organizing such an outstanding forum. Organizing any event by itself requires a lot of effort, let alone an international event that I understand you have about representation from 11 countries and have been able to garner about 120 technical papers. The turnout is indeed quite impressive. And whenever I have the privilege to address a young and enthusiastic young professionals like this one, I am reminded by a piece of wisdom that was said by Mr. Alan Kay 40 years ago. He is the one who developed the technology that enabled Windows, laptop, and the tablets that we enjoy today. He said, if you want to know the future, invent it. And indeed, your theme for this symposium is telling about the role that the young generation can play in shaping their future. I'm going to use some talking points here to put the program theme in the context of Saudi Aramco journey. This is the motto I just shared with you is a worthy motto for each one of you to embrace. It's a good summation of the underlying Saudi Aramco Accelerated Transformation Program. We are a very large company, considered highly successful and not by any means in a crisis. But nevertheless, we have taken the initiative now, when the going is good, to reinvent ourselves. Saudi Aramco is undergoing a massive generational challenge. Within 5 years, we estimate that 60% of our employees will be under the age of 30. Therefore, young generation, the young professionals, as well as other young skilled workers, are a major part of both the cause and the effect of this accelerated transformation program. The outcome of the transformation will be for the young generation, and much the leadership to bring to its fulfillment will have to be by your generation. I am not surprised if the future CEO of Saudi Aramco is probably sitting amongst you today. By 2020, Saudi Aramco will build on our traditional strengths in the oil operation and will bring about more competitive downstream operations such as chemical, power generation of petroleum, generation, technologies, and renewables. We'll also call upon the rising generation of petroleum engineers to discover billions of barrels of reserves and to yield us great achievements in unconventional oil and gas, and to increase our recovery by more than 70%. This effort will change us within less than a decade from an oil and gas company to a fully integrated energy and chemical company. Known as a predominantly Saudi Arabian company today, we will become a global player in all its terms. Multiplying the challenge is accelerating change in communication and operating environment in which we live and work. Social media technologies, platforms, and practices enable creation of virtual communities of practice or communities with other, perhaps purely social purposes. The Accelerate Transformation Program already has changed the way our corporate management operates. For one day each month, the CEO and his management team convene from dawn to dusk, if not more, not to discuss operational issues, but to focus on where we want to take the company. In addition to being a member of the Strategy Council, for one topic, I need to trade places and also report to the Council. I chair one of the Accelerated Transformation Initiatives teams, the Technology Strategy Study. We are working to review and update the company technology and innovation function. Specific attention is given to focus the company's research portfolio, enrich the talent pool, and the way we attract and retain talent, look at enriching their technical career paths, problem-solving approaches and business models to create a vibrant R&D environment is being considered, while enhancing the effectiveness of the organizational culture and our domestic and international partnerships. The strategy will position the company to make a quantum leap in the R&D and technology performance, the one that it deserves. We're placing special emphasis on capability building and acquiring and developing talent. Information technology is expected to play a much broader role in this strategy. We expect IT to play a prominent role in the future of upstream, downstream, and chemical technologies, and therefore Saudi Aramco's IT competencies will be better leveraged in support of technology development and enhancements. We're working to put Saudi Aramco on the path to becoming a preeminent creator of innovative technologies by 2020, whether compared to leading oil companies or non-oil R&D leaders. We aim to turn Saudi Aramco into the industry's epicenter for cutting-edge technologies. A key priority is the creation of high knowledge-based industries, leading to major growth and high wage employment. The technologies created by Saudi Aramco will not only assist the company, but also spawn new industries in the kingdom, helping to diversify the economy and specifically expand the job base. Driving the emergence of this knowledge-based economy in the kingdom demands high-quality education. The technology initiative will support research at academic institutions in the kingdom to help make the global centers of excellence in learning and innovation that will create new industries in the kingdom. Besides supporting and advancing the existing industrial base, quality education, technological prowess, and innovation are the foundation of a knowledge-based economy, areas in which the needs of the company and the kingdom are aligned. Some of the technologies we are pursuing include high advanced modeling for massive fields, cutting-edge subsurface imaging, advanced drilling systems, enhanced oil recovery, tight gas technologies, advanced fuel formulations, carbon management with special emphasis on mobile applications, oil to chemical research, as well as environmental and water treatment technologies. Our employees will find themselves surrounded by an exciting culture of innovation, and importantly, they will have the chance to see their ideas turned into reality and propelled across the globe. Within the next 5 years, your generation will be the largest demographic group at Saudi Aramco and most other businesses in our region. The company also will be well along its way towards becoming an integrated global leader in the chemical industry and a bigger player in technology development. To be ready for these and other tectonic shifts, we are introducing a whole new technology strategy, and many of you will be at the center of it. It is my dream to see that the future that you will shape for you, you will take part in it and help invent it. And please invent it safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Othman, on this insightful remarks, especially on the transformation and the role of young professionals to make that dream come true. And now we'll hear from Ms. Huda Al-Ghassan. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Abdul Wahab. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak at this panel with this distinguished guest, and it gives me a great pleasure to participate in this, what I consider a prestigious symposium. The theme of the symposium cannot be more appropriate or more timely, considering the changes that not only our company is going through, but also the industry and the whole country. And we all know that young professionals and young talent will have a crucial role in making sure that the changes that are taking place see success in the long term. Speaking about young professionals, last week I was in a meeting with business partners discussing programs and initiatives that we have to develop professionals. And one of the attendees, a gentleman from North America, looked at me and asked a question. He basically said, Huda, why are you in Saudi Aramco putting so much emphasis and issues about young talent and the young generation? Don't you think that you are inflating their ego? Don't you think that you are making them arrogant, in their own ways and in their own profession? What is so special about this generation? He said that over time, we had the baby boomers, we had Generation X, Generation Y, and next Generation Z, and this is a fact of life. This is the life cycle. So what is so special about this generation? And I gave him 3 reasons, and I would like to share these reasons with you. And these are the reasons for making this generation unlike any other generation in the past. The first reason is that we all know that young professionals now are entering the industry at a time of dramatic change in the business environment and the business model. We have seen increased complexity and volatility, dramatic fluctuations in the energy industry, and this is all happening at a time when we operate in a climate of unpredictable geopolitics, delicate safety and energy and environmental issues, sophisticated technology, high knowledge intensity. All of these changes are taking place at a time of a change in the crew of the oil industry. So basically, we have the old guards leaving and new talent coming in, and this is creating a huge gap in knowledge. Of course, we know that the laws of physics and the laws of mathematics are unlikely to change anytime soon, but we know that the pace of technological changes is accelerating at a dizzying and exponential rate. With this environment, the old methods, the old mindsets, the old tools, the old habits becomes inappropriate to support any change or any transformation in the business. So this is the first reason, the complexity in the energy industry and in the business environment. The second reason is Saudi Aramco's accelerated transformation program. And this program is unlike any program that we had in the past. And this is simply because it includes a very important national element that is a big motivator to everybody. We see young talent now very excited, inspired, energized by the chance to contribute to the progress of the transformation initiatives. And the next decade or 2 of their careers, they have the opportunity to play a crucial role in a program that has a bold vision, huge ambitions, and a promise not only to turn this company into a leading energy and chemical enterprise, but also to make this country a significant player in technology, in R&D, renewable energy, and in the knowledge economy, and make it a meaningful participant in the most vital industry in the world economy. This national element of ATP is going to touch on everybody's life, and it is going to improve the quality of our lives, and it has the promise to preserve our lifestyle, our modern lifestyle, for many generations to come. The second reason, so this is the second reason. Now, the third reason is the most obvious one, which is the shift in the population demographic with young people becoming the majority of the population And as Mr. Al-Othman said, they will be the majority of our workforce in the next few years. Now, young talents, they join the workplace with their own aspirations, with their own dreams, with their own expectations and intellectual curiosity. And we as leaders, we have the responsibility to guide them, motivate them, engage them, mentor them, coach them, and help them unlock their potential in order to support the transformation initiatives and see it through long after we're all gone. After all, the transformation is about unlocking the potential of people, the company, and the whole country. Now, with this environment, this complex and challenging environment, it is very clear that there is a burning need for a new leadership framework, a leadership framework that will enable holistic and timely decisions and decisions that can address sudden events. So looking into the future, we will not only need professionals and leaders with strong technical capability, but we also need leaders and professionals who can adapt to change and who can operate in a complex, multidisciplinary, and multicultural environment. So what does this all mean to young talent? Basically, it means that if they want to succeed in this environment, then they should have an ability, they should build an ability to adapt to any changes, sudden changes, and they should possess an enthusiasm also for continuous and fundamental learning and transformation from within. And as Charles Darwin once said, that it is not the strongest of species that will survive, nor the most intelligent, but the most adaptive to change. So my advice to young professionals to step out of their comfort zone, to step out of the comfort of their own disciplines and not to perceive themselves in their narrow specialist. They need to perceive themselves as strategists and as leaders. And they need to have the ability to connect their own disciplines and their own jobs with the surrounding environment. And this, in this era of information overload, it is very important that they build the capability and the capacity for pattern recognition and for peripheral vision, so they can connect the dots and they can see the big picture. Understanding of their own professions and how it impacts the world of economic and finance is very important. Also, building business acumen is going to be crucial. They need also to possess understanding of commercial consideration. They need to build understanding of public policy and public opinion. And they need to connect with the stakeholders that they serve and the communities that they operate in. And in summary, basically, they need to perceive themselves as strategists and leaders in the most expansive of sense. In simple words, they need to be totally engaged and at all fronts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Al-Othman. Now we'll turn it to Engineer Nadia Bakharji.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here today. I was so excited about talking to you today that I didn't get much sleep last night, thinking about what I was going to speak about. Huda here, she took the words right out of my mouth. And can I stand up, yes? Okay. First of all, I'd like all the ladies to raise their hands. So how many are we here? About 20, 30%? 20%? Less? Okay. What I want to talk about, and I know I have 23 years of experience to compress in about 15 minutes, so bear with me. I've been asked to deliver an inspirational speech, and to be honest with you, I think I'm the one who's going to leave here inspired after meeting all of you. It's been a long journey to finally one day stand here on this stage in front of you. And you may well ask, how did I go from architecture, interior architecture, serving the public service and engineering sector with the Council of Engineers, and finally becoming the Secretary General of Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Foundation? Well, it's quite a story, but along this story there are a lot of lessons to be told. The lessons that I learned that made me tough and made me cross over into a sector where I feel I can make the most change. As I graduated in 1989 from King Faisal University, I realized the first lesson I learned was that I couldn't find a job because I was a woman and because the field of interior architecture was relatively not very well known. So I set up my own business at home and I started working from there. It wasn't long before people knew me and I had enough work to expand my business to the diplomatic quarter and have a small office. By '96, I'd come to the attention of His Royal Highness Prince Al-Walid, and I met him to present a project to him. And he, in that first meeting, asked me if I'd like to be a partner. And I was completely taken aback, and I said, yes, why not? That's one thing about taking advantage of opportunities that come your way and having the confidence to believe in yourself. By the way, just getting to that meeting was a journey in itself. After we became partners, we had 5 years where there was a lot of exposure to interesting projects, as you may be well aware of the scope of work that was going on in the mid to late 90s and early thousands in Riyadh. A lot of development, and again, there's a lot of development now. During the course of the last 2 decades, we have had peaks where the business has gone up, the business has gone down, and the first businesses to suffer, I believe, are the business of interior design and architecture. So I had a lot of challenges ahead of me, economically, to establish my name, and also to be able to compete with the foreign competition. Now, the 5-year partnership was great because it gave me a lot of experience on big projects that I probably wouldn't have had such access to. After that, to be honest, I was in a kind of a quagmire because I had taken on board a very big project around 98, 99, 2000, which was a government project. It was my first government project, and we were consultants, and then we were asked to execute the job as a contractor. And of course, one of the things that you have to know, women weren't allowed in the early 90s to be licensed as engineers or architects. That came later in 2007. Now, I was practicing my work under a commercial and contracting CR, which was actually, in a way, advantageous because it meant I could get into commercial work and it meant I could get into contracting. And I was doing some light contracting until I got this government job. And I thought I could really handle this because at that point we had a good setup. We were about 56 staff. My office was at its peak. I had engineers in the field, about 13 experienced engineers in the field. We had about 30% female staff. We were training a lot of people. And I had a lot of confidence that we could do this project. I didn't foresee the pitfalls, the bureaucracy, needing to have certain connections. As a woman, you can't, what's the word? You can't connect with the male society the way that men do, the way they lobby together. So I found that I was coming up against invisible walls every time. And sometimes these pitfalls were designed, I think, deliberately to trip me up so that I wouldn't succeed, because my success meant the success of many women after me. And I have to say, on that point, that during that decade, quite a few universities opened interior design and architecture for women. So it was the fact that there was a high exposure of a few ladies in the field that encouraged the academic sector to say, well, there is a chance and an opportunity for women to work in this sector. And I'll come back to that point. So anyway, by 2002, my business was suffering from this project, which was not, it turned out to be very financially distressful. And by 2001, anyway, my partnership with His Royal Highness came to an end. So it was time to really rethink about my business model and re-strategize. Now, sometimes when you hit rock bottom, that's when you really look deeply at your own dream. Because I had a dream, and that dream was driving me dynamically. I was working from 8 in the morning until 1 in the morning. I didn't watch television for 5 years when I first established my business. I worked so hard. Now, it was kind of a shock to suddenly find myself, I couldn't afford to pay my staff, so I had to let them all go. I went back to basics. By 2003, I'd closed down my office in the diplomatic quarter, let go of my 56 staff, except for one, a draftsman, AutoCAD. By the way, I introduced AutoCAD into the office around 96 and trained everybody. That was one of the things that we believed in. You had to improve and train and improve your prospects. So one of my guys who had been with me for many years, one of the loyal staff, said, okay, I want to stay with you. And I set up a small studio at home. Again, that's how I started in 89, by the way. And I sat there, just me and Victor, looking at him thinking, okay, so what do we do now? And thank goodness, I wasn't back to square one, because at this point, I still had my reputation, I had my goodwill, people knew me, and people were calling me to give me projects, so I knew I could continue. So gradually, I rebuilt my business from 2003. I thought it was a good time to consider having another baby, since the business was not so. So I decided to get married again, and I had a little boy who's now 7 years old. So that was the good thing. I always say that never look at a negative situation as if it's going to be a disaster. Always look at the positive side. There's always a positive side to every situation that maybe it may seem like it's a change that you don't need or you don't, but if you look at it from the other perspective and the other opportunities that it could open for you, you'll find that it's actually a good thing for you. So I capitalized on the downtime, I call it the downtime, to have a little boy and also rethink my business strategy and think about serving in the public sector. Now, why did I go into the municipal elections in 2004? Because I wanted to make a difference, because I realized that if I don't change the laws and the policies and legislation that are actually fighting me and keeping me down in my business, then I'm never going to succeed. So I decided to go through a different channel. It's called navigating your way through the system. Okay, so in 2004, I tried to run for the municipal elections, and that was actually met with a great deal of a positive result, but the problem was that the powers that be said, no, it's not time for women, so they delayed it to 2009. But the interesting experience was that it opened a whole new door for me, and that was to think about serving in the civil society and seeing how I can actually make a difference. So when the opportunity came in 2005, end of 2005, 2006, to run for the Council of Engineers, I grabbed it and I went for that. And alhamdulillah, I won the election, and I sat on I did my first term from 2006 to 2009. And then again, I ran for elections in 2009, and I think we just finished yesterday. We handed over to the new board. So I've served 2 terms, that's 6 years with the council. Now, during the first term, the first thing I did was say to them, well, you've accepted me as a board member. You have to also understand that we as women deserve the license, just as you. And they said, of course, that goes without saying. So we worked on that. And 2007, women could apply for their licenses. I managed to get a consulting license to practice architecture and interior design. And therefore, I established NBA. That was in 2007. And so Rewalk of the Kingdom, my original company, remained as a contracting commercial CR, and I started practicing architecture and interior design through my new licensed consultancy. And the council itself learnt me a lot of things, how men lobby. And being the only woman on the board was a challenge in itself. trying to get things done. You meet with a lot of resistance. I know in Aramco it's slightly different, and that's why I'm excited to be here today, because I feel I'm addressing a audience that is a lot more adaptive to the women in the working environment. So, inshallah, one day we'll see a female CEO. Am I up? Am my time finished? Yes? All right. I think you have to have priorities and you have to be realistic. There are some things that you're going to be absolutely brilliant at and some things that you're not. And forgive yourself. But your children, don't neglect them. I think you can neglect everything but your children. Because you need to, even if you have a quality hour every day with your kid, it's enough. Or half an hour. Just tell them something nice and sweet and reinforce their confidence. They just need to hear that. Thanks.
I think Huda and Nadia have highlighted very important things, and it is all about competing objectives, and striking the balance is not easy. Anybody who tells you that they have a totally balanced life could be overlooking something. The key in my mind is to be mindful about it, is to always ask yourself, am I still maintaining the right attention to all the right priorities, and be aware about it and address them. And today you will address your balance with regards to your health. Tomorrow it is to your kids. The day after tomorrow it is to your spouse. So be mindful of it. You could develop a blindsiders, especially for the unknown soldiers, the other half that Nadia talked about, or your sisters, or your brothers, or your extended family, or your society. The key thing is know your priority. Have a sense of purpose. Why are you doing all this? Especially to you young. I know many of the young really burn themselves saying, when do I get out of the PDP program? Or when do I get the promotion, and compete with each other? And if you really don't ask yourself, at the end of the day, am I learning? Am I commanding respect on a technical basis and on a character basis? The C's that Huda talked about. Believe me, without that, you can achieve anything you want. But if you don't achieve the recognition and the competence and the respect, at the end of the day, you haven't achieved it. If you don't do that with your colleagues, you don't do that with your family and with your society, it's a waste. So don't burn yourself, and certainly don't burn it from both ends.
Well, thank you all. We have time for one quick question, and this question is kind of interesting. It goes like, I think I will address it to you, Mr. Al-Othman. What are the key factors for this transformation to succeed, and what would cause it to fail?
I must say, and we've had many discussions about this, all the key ingredients for success are there. That was a product of very rigorous work, 18 months worth of work involving many parts of the organization, full engagement, commitment from the top. It has a very aspirational sense of purpose, as I mentioned, for the organization, for the society, for our industry. We also recognize that in addition to all the deliveries on there, we also have to change. And we said, if you recognize of the 14, there are several that looks at changing the way we do business. So if you ask me what are the critical success factors for it, I would say a much more global and robust leadership and talent, faster decision-making process, and stronger accountability. And they are all, by the way, embedded in some of the initiatives that we're looking at. And what would cause it to fail is if we don't succeed in cultivating a very robust global talent and leadership, if we stumble into enhancing the quality and the sharpness in which we do decision-making and accountability. And we need to be candid with ourselves. If things don't work out, redirect and move on. If we give ourselves the false impression that things are going well and just, applaud for ourselves, we will fall in the trap.
Thank you very much. I think this brings us towards the end, and on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank our distinguished panelists and thank the audience for their participation. And may I ask Dr. Mohammed Al-Gahtani, Vice President of Petroleum Engineering and Development, to please come to the stage and provide our distinguished panelists with a token of appreciation. And I will also ask Dr. Abdul Wahab, the Symposium Chairman, and the co-chairman of Organizing Committee, Badr Al-Rumayh, to come to the stage for a group photo. Thank you all for attending the opening ceremony of the 2012 Young Professional Technical Symposium. Enjoy your lunch, generously sponsored by Saudi Aramco. We will be having slides of our activities in the Young Professional and Technical Student Outreach, so you can join them during lunch. We have a